Thank you for coming to my channel, Spilling the Tea with G. My name is G. I'm new to YouTube, but I'm excited to do some anti-MLM commentary and educational videos. I hope you like the video, and if you do, you can like, comment, and subscribe. Today we'll be looking at some of the tactics that MLMs use through some horror stories from Reddit. For our first MLM horror story, we have a super cringy situation. Complete stranger tells my husband she could help me lose weight. Yeah, how about I kick your butt instead? This is more of a rant than anything else, but my husband just got a message on social media from a woman he went to school with back in 1980. According to my husband, this was also the last he'd heard of her. Until now. Okay, can we just talk about the fact that this woman went to school with him back in 1980 and now she's looking him up for her MLM? 1980? Girl, that was 41 years ago. Give it a rest, pest. This woman had the audacity to send my husband a message along the lines of, "Hey dear, you look great. I know it's been a while, but I noticed that your wife could lose some weight." Okay, first of all, don't be messaging my husband telling him that he looks great and I look like I need to lose weight. That's the recipe for getting your ass beat. And I have just the thing to help her. This wasn't the exact message because the real message was riddled with emojis and would take about 6 pages if I were to print it out. Tons of emojis, sounds like a hunbot. All about how she's part of a wonderful company that's changing lives and helping people live their best life while working towards their fitness goals and blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing. I didn't read the whole thing. I can smell an MLM pitch a mile away. The woman is twice my age and has the nerve to not even berate me to my face, but she goes to my husband under the guise of helping me. Oh no, she didn't. My husband called her a bitch and told her to fuck off, so there's that. Girl, he's a keeper. I was so angry I didn't even get around to finding out which one of those supplement garbage MLMs she was part of. We recently had a baby, and I've been feeling a touch insecure about my body, so I am so pissed. Okay, now that is fucked up. This is just another reason why if you are in an MLM, you can't just go after people assuming that they are trying to lose weight. You don't know them. You don't know their story. And you could be seriously inflicting some emotional damage upon them by coming at them with your unsolicited opinions, trying to get them to buy your crap. And furthermore, the poster just had a baby. So she has nothing else to worry about other than taking care of herself and taking care of her baby. There's nothing else to be concerned about. And any woman who comes at another woman after childbirth and tries to get her to buy a weight loss pill is just extremely delusional. And it is just so funny because with all of these MLMs, there's always a common theme of female empowerment, women supporting women. And that's how they really trick people into buying into it and thinking you're going to be part of this community that's going to support you and always be there for you. Well, how is trying to sell your weight loss product to someone who just gave birth an example of women supporting women? No, that's more like women exploiting women and just being a freaking biatch. Why don't you stick that pill where the sun don't shine, lady? Edit. Adding this because I feel this really illustrates how delusional this woman is. I'm 5'10" and 140 pounds. That's more than I weighed before the baby, but I don't actually need to lose any weight. The only thing that needs to get lost in this situation is that crazy lady. She needs to go back to 1980. Bye, Felicia. For our next MLM horror story, we have someone sharing their small Amway history. Ain't gonna lie, my story is probably insignificant compared to others, but it has probably a huge impact on myself. Basically, I got introduced to this business opportunity by one of my best friends who's a representative of Amway since a few months now. He told me how Amway can help me to make money and even retire early. That is the dream, retiring early. The promise of retiring early is a really appealing argument to make, especially for younger people. I remember when I actually sat down and did the math last year when I was 27 about how old I would be when I retired. I was so sad to know that I would have to work for 30 plus more years to be able to retire when I was 65. So, for people who are younger and inexperienced, this is definitely a draw. At this time and even now, I don't have a job. I'm a recent graduate, so finding a job is horrible. So I just followed him totally and met his mentor. Already we're seeing that this MLM is specifically targeting recent college graduates because it is hard to find a job right now, even with your degree. And a lot of the college graduates are eager to do something and still pretty inexperienced about the world of business, so they're easy targets for predatory people who want to lure them into their MLM. I went through their selection process for one more month without asking myself how all of this could be true, even though there was some elements on their presentations that I found a little bit weird. I talked with a family member and he warned me immediately about this kind of business. I made some research and saw how much controversy there was regarding MLM. Okay, awesome job that you took time to do research and find the information for yourself. You go. It's impossible for that to be a legitimate business if so much people shit talk about it. That's definitely a red flag. If a lot of people are shit talking your business, shit don't stink for no reason. I immediately decided to leave. In the end, I just lost 80 euros from buying their stuff, so it's nothing much, but I believe I can get a refund from everything. I hope you can, and I hope you did. It's crazy to imagine how naive I was to believe these people. I followed them blindly without asking questions. It's even crazier how they can be so convincing about joining them. This is clearly brainwashing, but I probably wasn't that much affected since I changed my mind quickly. And this is a great point. When you join an MLM, they have a set of training and a set of rituals that really does start to brainwash you and get you to think the way that they want you to think. Luckily for this poster, they were able to get out and they said that they hopefully did not suffer too many of the effects because they were able to change their mind back quickly. But for some other people who are more vulnerable, who maybe don't have a strong support system, they're much more susceptible to falling prey to MLMs and believing what they are told and staying in that brainwashed state. I'm just afraid about my friend. He's completely under the influence and is firmly convinced that this business is legit. He's totally brainwashed, and I don't see how I can get him out of here. He put already a lot of money into this and doesn't seem to want to let it go. I think the only way he can get out is realizing by himself how bullshit this business is. Hopefully, they will open their eyes and they will wake up before they start to lose even more money. Our next MLM horror story is super cringe and also super sad and just shows how MLMers have no shame in their recruitment game. Got my first MLM invitation while still in tears. This happened last night and I am still so flabbergasted. Love that word. I've been attending a grief group. My mom passed away in 2020, and I haven't been handling it super well. I'm so sorry to hear about your loss. Most meetings, I wouldn't say much, as I have a hard time talking about my mom without ugly crying. Of course, who wouldn't? Last night, members of the group were invited to introduce their loved ones through stories, pictures, sentimental objects, anything that represented the person who died. I didn't bring anything because I wasn't sure I wanted to talk. I mustered up the courage to tell stories about my mom and talk about the wonderful woman she was. I friggin' wept, ugly cried, struggled to get my words out, the whole excruciating deal. It was an important experience for me, and I was grateful that I was surrounded by people that empathized. After the session was wrapped up for the night, I was mingling, still crying, and red-faced. I was approached by a smiling older woman who sweetly apologized for my loss. The next words out of her mouth were, "Have you ever had a Mary Kay makeover?" Lord, my mind went blank. I couldn't believe it. I said, "No," because I know Mary Kay is an MLM. She invited me to come over and be quote unquote pampered, try products, hang out, and then go to regional ice cream establishment and look cute. I replied that given the pandemic and all that, I didn't want to interact with people that much, which is true. But also, why are you asking someone out on a friend date after you're meeting them at a grief counseling session? That is just cringe and that is weird, and don't do that. Then she talked about how amazing Mary Kay's story is and gave me her Mary Kay business card. She tells me that she is trying to get 30 people this month. Wow. So she's being open with her recruitment quotas. And that's kind of interesting, right? Because a lot of these MLMs say, oh, there's no quotas, there's no expectations. But here we have someone showing, no, she does need to get 30 people. I could not formulate a reply. I was so upset that this woman had the gall to approach me with an MLM invitation while I was still so visibly distressed and hurting. The audacity! Geez, these MLMers, they have lots of audacity. Later, I was discussing it with my boyfriend and remarked that I was more emotional than other speakers at the group and wondered if she thought she could capitalize on my vulnerability. I think that's a really spot on observation. My boyfriend said that she's probably so deeply indoctrinated in the MLM that she may have honestly believed skincare products would be comforting to me. That's also a good point that your boyfriend makes. She probably is so deeply indoctrinated that she does not see how inappropriate and how horrific it is to approach someone with your business opportunity while you are at a grief counseling session. But I would be curious to know if she was soliciting other members of that grief group or if it was just our original poster. I don't know her motivations, but any way you spin it, her insensitivity and delusion were off the charts. Amen. These hunbots are delusional. And like we mentioned from our last horror story, it's due to this brainwashing and it's due to this complete change in mentality and behavior where they are normalizing this sort of behavior because to them, every person that they see is just another dollar sign and somebody that they can sell to or recruit. Is R Infinite an MLM? I'm looking for work on Indeed and I see a listing for health insurance sales, so I apply. The company's name listed on the classified was Zen Financial Solutions. So I get a message that they want to phone interview me. Cool, I think. I don't have an insurance sales license, but that's no problem. Oh, and they're not really called Zen Financial Solutions, they are Infinite. The site is vague. Lady's real nice on the phone, says I'll be an independent worker, 1099, won't have a company email, no benefits, but they'll provide leads. Okay, seems sketchy. I'll need to get a license, but they'll help and pay a percentage of the cost. Also, I'll need to get some kind of email thing that's $149.99. Not even sure what it is, but it costs money. At this point, she's ready to sign me up. She didn't ask for any references or do a background check, nothing. I feel that this is weird, so I say that I can't right now. She's now invited me to some type of online pep rally thing tomorrow. Ugh, I need a job, but I feel like this is something I'm going to spend a lot of money on and not make any of it back. Okay, the poster's instincts are spot on, and down here, Minimum Chapter commented, "Hey, I'm a recruiter, and I think the best advice I can give is don't go for a job that makes you spend your own money to work on stuff unless they are going to reimburse you. For example, my company requires a certain type of shoe. We don't provide them, but we do reimburse the employee if they bring their receipt. I don't know if this company is an MLM, but I would recommend to continue your search. I know it's a really hard market, but something will come along that won't be so scammy. And also, there were a lot of red flags here. First of all, when they changed the name of their company when they were having the phone interview, that is pretty weird. Their website being vague, that is not completely suspicious, but also if you are mostly recruiting people online, you are going to want a website that has a lot of information and is something that can really help your potential employees learn about your company. Then they were told they won't have a company email, but they'll need to pay to get some kind of email thing that's almost $150. That is a little bit sketchy here. And then lastly, the online pep rally. Yikes. Let's go ahead and say you dodged a bullet with that one. Our next anti-MLM horror story is another Amway story. Who moved my cheese? My wife and I met a mom at the park a few weeks ago. While we were chatting, she mentioned that her and her husband were retiring next year. Well, that's nice, good for you, but why did you need to tell us that? I was curious, so I asked where their retirement money was coming from and didn't really get a straight answer. Eventually, she said that they had met a couple that had changed their lives. She called them their, quote, mentors. She said they couldn't share their mentors' secrets, but would be willing to set up a meeting to see if their mentors would take us in. That sounds sketch. After a quick huddle with my wife, we decided to see where this would go for fun. Okay, you guys are like my favorite couple ever. We had our first meeting with a mom from the park and her husband, and they asked us 5 questions. The questions were: 1. Do you think about process or results more? 2. Are you a free thinker? 3. Do you use ignorant terms like Ponzi or pyramid scheme? 4. What's your quality of life in terms of time and money from 1 to 10? 5. Are you willing to have a mentor? After we told them we were willing to have a mentor, they finished the meeting by telling us to read a book, Who Moved My Cheese? As soon as the meeting was over, I came here and entered the book title and figured out we were being sucked into Amway. It's going to be fun when we tell them we're not interested in Amway when they haven't told us what they do yet. LOL. Now let's just take a second to really think about the questions that our posters were asked. Number 1, do you think about process or results more? So this really seems to me like they are trying to get you to not focus on the end result, which would be retiring and having all your money, but they want you to be more focused on the work that it's going to take you to get there. So this is a little bit sketchy already because you are supposed to be working towards some end goal, not working just for the sake of working. Number 2, are you a free thinker? So they want to know if you have original thoughts or if you're going to be easily moldable so that you can fall for their indoctrination and you can be more pliable. Coachable is another term that they like to use. You have to be coachable. So they want to see what is your level of advocacy for yourself, or are you going to be someone who's just going to smile and nod and do what they say? Number 3, do you use ignorant terms like Ponzi or pyramid scheme? Okay, first, how can a term be ignorant? A term is not ignorant. The person who uses the terms are ignorant. Knowing exactly what those 2 words mean are going to help you avoid Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes. Number 4, what's your quality of life in terms of time and money from 1 to 10? Well, that's none of your business, is it? We literally just met you at a park, you weirdo. And then 5, are you willing to have a mentor? AKA, are you willing to work for someone else and be someone's downline? That's what they are really wanting to ask you. So this couple is amazing. And now, just out of curiosity, I need to look up this book, Who Moved My Cheese? This is a summary of the book, Who Moved My Cheese by Amy Reese Anderson. Just going to go ahead and read it from her article here. Let me give you a quick overview of the story. The story is about 2 mice named Sniff and Scurry and 2 little men named Hem and Haw. Okay, this is definitely an interesting beginning. They all live in a maze. Okay, so the two mice and the two little men all live in a maze? How is that possible? And they find a pile of cheese. The two men build a home by the cheese and settle down to live where the cheese is. Okay, so maybe we're talking like one of those mazes that's made out of hedges, because I was imagining one of those mazes that scientists build for the mice when they're doing those tests on them. The mice come to eat the cheese as well, but as they smell the cheese, they realize it's getting old and starting to diminish, so the mice prepare themselves that they will soon need to find new cheese. One day, the pile of cheese runs out. The two mice, having prepared for this day, recognize they need to go find new cheese, and they run off through the maze in search of new cheese. The two men don't handle the cheese running out quite as well. First, they are dismayed. They feel sad that they have run out of cheese, and they get very depressed about it. Then their sadness turns to shock. They cannot believe that the cheese is actually gone. How could that be? Surely it will come back. Are you serious? The cheese is not going to replenish itself. Then they become angry. How dare they run out of cheese? Okay, now this is just a little bit too much. It is unfair. It is wrong. They won't stand for their cheese running out. And then finally, they have to face the fact that the cheese is definitely gone, and there is nothing they can do to make it back. And so they have to make a decision. Will they sit down and give up and starve to death, or will they go out and find new cheese? Okay, so we are learning that mice are smarter than men. Okay. One of the men decides to go out in search of new cheese, but he is scared and intimidated by the long, dark halls of the maze. He is afraid of the unknown, yet he forges on as he knows he must start looking to find his new cheese. As he goes down the dark passageways, he finds that getting down the first one wasn't so bad. He begins to feel more courageous about entering the next dark passage, and his confidence grows little by little as he begins to learn life lessons. As he travels through each hall, he stops to write on the wall the lesson that he learned that day. The life lesson messages he writes on the different walls are as follows. In my opinion, this is the MLM's way of training you to control your behavior. They are setting you up with this idea that the cheese we are going to relate to income or success within a company. Your cheese is always at risk of being lost or taken away at any given instant. Now, the behavior control comes in when they start talking about the different ways that the mice and the men react. What do the mice do? Well, the mice are consistently aware that their cheese may diminish. They're always ready to go out and make more and have no excuses. While the men are represented as being almost like petulant children, very emotional. They go through many different feelings and stages of emotion before they actually try to go and solve their problem and get the cheese. So, in my opinion, the message of this story is don't react with your emotions and don't let your emotions guide the way that you behave. Behave like mice, behave like workers. Be ready for everything to fail and to keep working just to have it all be taken away. And that is a very scary thought. The more that they condition you into believing that and being at peace with the fact that you could lose it all, the danger happens when you get increasingly sucked into the MLM and you start losing more and more money, or you start losing more and more friends. In my opinion, Amway really creeps me out. Our next cringy MLM story is about Rodan and Fields. This is actually the MLM that I was just shy of getting suckered into joining. I legitimately was already at the end of the application process. I was about to click submit. I was having this feeling in my stomach. But what changed it for me was when I took the time to read their income disclosure. And that's when I walked away. But I'll go more into detail with my Rodan and Fields story on another day. For now, a patient pitched to us at work today. I'm a team lead at a dermatology office, and I was rooming patients in clinic today. We both room patients and scribe for the provider at our office. I stay in the room during the appointment to chart for the provider so they can see more patients during the day. I roomed a new patient today, a 5-year-old boy, and of course his mother came back with him. Well, obviously he's a 5-year-old boy, so there's nothing weird there. I interviewed them and went to tell the provider what we were seeing the patient for. Provider is a physician's assistant, PAC, and I will call her Kay. Kay and I then went into the room together. We get through the whole appointment, and as we are all finishing up, Kay asked Mom if she had any questions. Mom says, "Well, this isn't related to his appointment, but I work for Rodan and Fields, and I have a challenge to add new people on Facebook or Instagram so they can learn about our products." Oh, cringe. And wasn't she at a dermatology office? Really? You're going to try to sell a dermatology office on your skincare products that are from an MLM? She asked if she could add Kay and I on either platform. Kay says she doesn't have either, which is true, and I kid you not, she asked for her phone number. Oh my gosh, that is too cringy. She asked a medical provider for her cell phone number to try and sell her MLM products. The audacity! Okay, there is a really big theme of audacious MLMers in this episode. Can I remind you that we work at a dermatologist's office and she's selling skincare products? Sis, let me just tell you all the ways you are barking up the wrong tree. So Kay politely says she can't give out her personal number to patients and goes to leave. Patient's mom turns to me and asks if I will let her add me. I use the noise of Kay leaving the room to avoid answering. That is smart. Asked what pharmacy they used and told them they could go up to reception when they were ready to schedule his follow-up appointment. I dipped out so fast and hid in the back of the office until they left. I just felt sad that this mom couldn't even focus on her child's appointment for 10 minutes without feeling like she had to pitch her crap. I can only guess that her upline advised her that this would be a good idea. That maybe if they got their foot in the door with an actual dermatologist, they could become diamond, platinum, superstar, black elite status Huns. Anyways, just thought you guys might also get a laugh out of someone pitching a skincare MLM to an actual skincare professional. Wow. Okay, and the thing that is interesting about that story is that the mom and her son were there for her son to have an appointment at the dermatologist's office. So if Rodan and Fields products are so great, and if she's using them, it's safe to assume that she would want to give the same products to her child. I mean, when I was still purchasing products from Rodan and Fields from my friend who tried to sucker me in, I definitely bought them for myself and then gave some away to my friends and family. So it would make sense that the mom would have the son using the products as well. So I'm curious if the son really did have some sort of skin issue, because then that would mean that maybe these products really aren't what they're all cracked up to be. Or did this mom really just make an appointment for her son to see the dermatologist so she could network with some real dermatology health officials and connect with them on social media and tap into their networks? Wow. Either way, it's really sketchy and really cringy. Our next story is also about Amway. The Amway MLMers sure are coming out in droves, and they're coming out hard in order to get people to join their MLM. My friend got trapped by Amway. So my friend got grabbed by an Amway girl at the store. She's been hanging out with them for months now and joined their team. She just graduated grad school, is a very hard worker, and is very smart. The problem is she's in a rough place and COVID is making it worse. And like we were talking about before, people who are just coming out of high school or college or even grad school, they're very susceptible to falling into MLM traps because they just want to start their career. They want to start making money. They want to get to the next level. And this seems like the way to do it. And maybe they still don't have enough experience or knowledge about predatory business tactics to know that this is really not a great opportunity. And, you know, the fact that COVID is happening makes it worse, makes it harder to find a job anyway. So it's a very fertile ground for MLMers to try to seduce people into joining their cult. Because of this newfound affection and friendship she gets from the super hardworking and driven Amway people and constant contact to better yourself, she's been convinced to double her purchasing of home and beauty products, and now she's pushing other people to join. So, this is cult behavior right here. They offer you affection and friendship. When they first meet you, they do something called love bombing, which means that they make you feel so special and so important, and they really make you feel like you belong and they accept you so that you let your guard down and you feel more comfortable around these people. Just like cults, there's also this theme of personal development and bettering yourself. And then you have the MLM component where you are being forced to purchase more products than you need, and you also have to recruit other people to join. My problem is we didn't know all this and met with this girl for the typical coffee, and she was very friendly, but it was all about joining and selling, but buying because you're the seller and just wouldn't give up. I'm a pretty well-traveled and crafty guy, so I saw through everything. I wasn't mean, but definitely made the recruiting uncomfortable with long pauses and specific financial questions about tracking money. At the end of it, she told my girlfriend and I all about this meeting and books and articles she was going to send. I told her no thanks, but maybe we'll join the Zoom. When we eventually texted her no, she left a 1 minute and 30-second voicemail saying she gets it, but we don't know what we're saying no to, and she pushed harder and harder. Moral of the story is I'm safe, and I know I'm not falling for it, but I don't want my friend to go 8 months of being drained of her money. I've known her since first grade, so 20 years, and I'm afraid of some cult-like backlash from her if she tells her new friends she doesn't want to do it anymore. How do I save her from making this huge mistake without making her feel bad or mad because they have mentally trapped her? That is really sad. That is really sad. I hope that this girl was able to get out of it and was able to wake up and see the light. But unfortunately, for a lot of people who get sucked into MLMs, really predatory cult like MLMs, which pretty much all of them are, they're going to lose so much money before it even starts to register with them that the situation that they're putting themselves in is damaging to their mental state, to their psyche, as well as to their finances and their life. And remember, this girl just graduated grad school. She literally has her whole life ahead of her. So I really hope that she was able to wake up and to quit Amway and lose those fake friends. If you're still here hanging in with me, thank you. We have one more horror story for today, and again, it is about Amway. Nearly got stuck with BWW/Amway. I just got off a video call an hour ago with my quote-unquote mentor, telling him I am not interested in BWW/Amway and want nothing to do with it. It took one whole hour to tell him that I do not want to proceed with it. So this already is giving me vibes of the last girl that we just talked about. They get the answer no, but then they still try really hard to push you to change your mind. The fact that this person was on the phone for an hour convincing them no is crazy to me. I would have said no and then click and hang up the phone. Basically, about a month or two ago, I connected with my quote mentor. Let's call him Jake. And I saw that he was an alum from my school, so I didn't think too much of it. I also have a small business that I do on the side apart from my actual part-time job, and he messaged me about it and asked if I wanted a mentor who could help me out with growing my business and learning how to make good money. I thought it felt kind of suspicious, but I thought it felt like an opportunity to try new things, so I agreed to a video call. Okay, so this person's alarm bells were going off, that it felt suspicious, and it sounds like they were probably right about that. In the first video call, he actually included his wife without my knowledge, that's weird, and told me how they are my mentors if I wanted to be a part of this mentorship program. Okay, why is Amway all about mentoring in couples? We're going to need to do some more research on Amway. They told me about their story of how they paid off their student loans and were able to live comfortably with their business and gain opportunities and learn from their own mentors. Keep in mind, they never told me exactly what their business was, and they just referred to it as their business. Okay, that's super sketchy. Later, I found out that they were part of Amway and used BWW's mentorship. They gave me Robert Kiyosaki's book, Business of the 21st Century, and told me to read it by a certain date so I could be ready for a small event held in a week and that we would have another video call to review it. So I read the whole book, maybe skimmed a few pages because I don't really like reading and I also had classes that needed to be taken care of. Okay, so this tells me that this person is a student, possibly college, graduate school. But in my second video call with Jake and his wife, I realized how heavily they focused on building an asset and having a network to maintain it so you can have a comfortable life with a lot of money. I hated this talk of doing whatever you can to fulfill a purpose, in this case, earning tons of money to succeed in life. I tried to tell Jake that I didn't want to be part of whatever this thing was because I just felt uncomfortable with that mindset, and it was not my priority in life to be a rich person. Having money is awesome, but I don't want my focus in life to be money. Somehow, they kept me on the hook, and I agreed to listen to join their event for their company, BWW/Amway. Okay, so this is where I knew something was weird. I signed up for this event/conference/whatever with my partner Jake, and it was completely free. But this Zoom meeting was set up to be flashy, and everyone was creepily smiling. The host of the event seemed so robotic. He very much creeped me out with his announcer voice. The two speakers who were leading, quote, mentors in BWW talked for about an hour about this opportunity, and they mentioned Amway. They called on one kid who said he remembers his parents saying Amway was a scam, but the speaker and his wife shut him down so quickly and said, Amway is not a pyramid scheme. We focus on network marketing. All their presentation material looked hella similar to MLM/pyramid schemes, though. After the creepy Zoom event, my mentors gave me some podcast links to listen to, and I was curious about who these people were on the podcast and Googled them, only to find out they were all owners of certain MLMs and part of Amway. I then went down a rabbit hole and found this subreddit and realized what I had gotten into. Fortunately enough, I was still in the process of being recruited, so I was not involved with BWW and Amway just yet. Today, I had to repeat myself to my mentor about how I did not want to do this and it was against my expectations and personal beliefs. So I am no longer in that recruiting process and no longer involved in this sketchiness. Luckily for this person, they were able to see the light and not get sucked into joining this MLM, but it was clear in this story that there were several examples of cult-like behavior where the information was being controlled in what was shared. For example, the kid who spoke up at the meeting and mentioned how his parents even said that Amway was a scam and how they shut him down very quickly and didn't even entertain that. And then also by being asked to spend your time listening to these podcasts and then finding out that the creator of those podcasts were people who own certain MLMs. It just really shows that they want to control the information that you see, so then it becomes easier to keep you in the MLM and keep you working and keep you recruiting other people to join. So like I said, good job this person was able to get out, but hopefully more people don't continue to get sucked into MLMs, especially with all of the great anti-MLM content that is being put out today. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, and see you next time.